Good afternoon, everyone. This is Cynthia Gwiazda here from the Hagaman Memorial Library. I'm a Community Services Librarian. I have some new fiction I'd like to talk to you about this morning, or excuse me, this afternoon. So we have some new fiction available to borrow at the library. Some of them may be checked out already that you would need to call the library and put on reserve. Others may be available on the shelf. So I'm going to go over those now. Season's greetings. Happy holidays, everyone. These are new December reads for adult fiction. So the first book I'd like to talk to you about is called Not a Happy Family by Shari LaPena. Brecon Hill in upstate New York is an expensive place to live. You have to be rich to have a house there, and Fred and Sheila Merton certainly are rich. But even all their money can't protect them when a killer comes to call. The Mertons are brutally murdered after a fraught Easter dinner with their 3 adult kids, who, of course, are devastated. Or are they? They each stand to inherit millions. They were never a happy family thanks to their vindictive father and neglectful mother, but perhaps one of the siblings is more disturbed than anyone knew. Did someone snap after that dreadful evening? Or did another person appear later that night with the worst of intentions? That must be what happened. After all, if one of the family were capable of something as gruesome as this, you would know, wouldn't you? That's Not a Happy Family by Shari LaPena. The Christmas Promise by Richard Paul Evans. On the night of her high school graduation, Rochelle Bach's father gives her and her identical twin sister Michelle matching opal necklaces. These opals, These opals look identical, he tells them, but the fire inside each is completely unique, just like the two of you. Indeed, the two sisters couldn't be more different. And their paths diverge as they embark on adulthood. Years pass until, at their father's behest, they both come home for Christmas. What happens then forever damages their relationship, and Rochelle vows never to see or speak to her sister again. In their father's last days, he asks Rochelle to forgive Michelle, a deathbed promise she never fulfills as her twin is killed in an accident. Now painfully alone and broken, caring for the sickest of children in a hospital PICU, Rochelle has one last dream: to be an author. The plot of her book, The Prodigal Daughter, is a story based on her sister's life. It's not until she meets Justin Eeg, a man who harbors his own loss, that a secret promise is revealed, and Rochelle learns that the story she's writing is not about her sister, but about herself. That's The Christmas Promise by Richard Paul Evans. Forgiving Paris by Karen Kingsbury. In Indiana, Ashley Baxter Blake and her husband are about to take an anniversary trip to Paris, but she's hesitant. More than 2 decades ago, she made her most grievous mistake in that same city. She's never forgiven herself for what happened there, and she still harbors secrets that she's afraid will come to light. Just before the trip, Ashley gets a call from her niece. Jessie explains that her French boyfriend's mother remembers working at a bakery with an American named Ashley. Could that be you? When Alice and Ashley meet, a flood of memories come for both women, taking Ashley back to a reckless affair and an unexpected pregnancy, and Alice to the night she nearly ended it all. Can this reunion bring healing and closure? Maybe it is finally time for Ashley to forgive herself and Paris. That's called Forgiving Paris by Karen Kingsbury. The Last Debutantes by Georgie Blalock. When Valerie de Vercole, the niece of Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, makes her deep curtsy to the King and Queen of England, she knows she's part of a world about to end. The daughter of a debt-ridden father and a neglectful mother, Valerie sees firsthand that war is imminent. Nevertheless, Valerie reinvents herself as a carefree and glittering young society woman, befriending other debutantes from England's aristocracy, as well as the vivacious Eunice Kennedy, daughter of the U.S. ambassador. Despite her social success, the world's troubles and Valerie's fear of loss and loneliness prove impossible to ignore. How will she navigate her new life when everything in her past has taught her that happiness and stability are as fragile as peace in our time? For the moment, she will forget her cares in too much champagne and waltzes, because very soon Valerie knows that she must find the inner strength to stand strong and carry on through the challenges of life and love and war. The Last Debutantes by Georgie, Blalock. Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone by Diana Gabaldon. Jamie Fraser and Claire Randall were torn apart by the Jacobite Rising in 1746, and it took them 20 years to find each other again. Now the American Revolution threatens to do the same. It is 1779, and Claire and Jamie are at last reunited with their daughter Brianna, her husband Roger, and their children on Fraser's Ridge. Having the family together is a dream the Frasers had thought impossible. Yet even in the North Carolina backcountry, the effects of war are being felt. Tensions in the colonies are great, and local feelings run hot enough to boil hell's tea kettle. Jamie knows loyalties among his tenants are split, and it won't be long until the war is on his doorstep. Brianna and Roger have their own worry that the dangers that provoked their escape from the 20th century might catch up to them. Sometimes they question whether risking the perils of the 1700s, among them disease, starvation, and an impending war, was indeed the safer choice for their family. Not so far away, young William Ransom is still coming to terms with the discovery of his true father's identity, and thus his own. And Lord John Grey has reconciliations to make and dangers to meet on his son's behalf and his own. Meanwhile, the Revolutionary War creeps ever closer to Fraser's Ridge, and with the family finally together, Jamie and Claire have more at stake than ever before. Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone by Diana Gabaldon. Leonora and the Morning Light by Michaela Carter. 1940, a train carrying exiled German prisoners from a labor camp arrives in southern France. Within moments, word spreads that Nazi capture is imminent, and the men flee for the woods, desperate to disappear across the Spanish border. One stays behind, determined to ride the train until he reaches home to find a woman he refers to simply as her. 1937, Leonora Carrington is a 20-year-old British socialite and painter when she meets Max Ernst, an older, married artist whose work has captivated Europe. She follows him to Paris into the vibrant world of studios and cafes where rising visionaries of the Surrealist movement like Andre Breton, Pablo Picasso, Lee Miller, Man Ray, and Salvador Dali are challenging conventional approaches to art and life. Inspired by their freedom, Leonora begins to experiment with her own work, translating vivid stories of her youth onto canvas and gaining recognition under her own name. It is a bright and glorious age of enlightenment until war looms over Europe and headlines emerge denouncing Max and his circle as degenerates, leading to his arrest and imprisonment. Left alone as occupation spreads throughout the countryside, Leonora battles terrifying circumstances to survive, reawakening past demons that threaten to consume her. As Leonora and Max embark on remarkable journeys together and apart, the full story of their tumultuous and passionate love affair unfolds, spanning time and borders as they seek to reunite and reclaim their creative power in a world shattered by war. When their paths cross with Peggy Guggenheim, an art collector and socialite working to help artists escape to America, nothing will be the same. Based on true events and historical figures, Leonora in the Morning Light is not only one of Oprah's daily most anticipated historical fiction novels that will sweep you away, but also, to quote its starred book list review, it's a deeply involving historical tale of tragic lost love, determined survival, the sanctuary of art, and the evolution of a muse into an artist of powerfully provocative feminist expression. Leonora in the Morning Light by Michaela Carter. Still Life by Sarah Winman. Tuscany, 1944. As Allied troops advance and bombs fall around deserted villages, a young English soldier, Ulysses Temper, finds himself in the wine cellar of a deserted villa. There, he has a chance encounter with Evelyn Skinner, a middle-aged art historian who has come to Italy to salvage paintings from the ruins and recall long forgotten memories of her own youth. In each other, Ulysses and Evelyn find a kindred spirit amidst the rubble of war-torn Italy and set off on a course of events that will shape Ulysses' life for the next 4 decades. As Ulysses returns home to London, re-immersing himself in his crew at the Stoat and Parrot, a motley mix of pub crawlers and eccentrics, he carries his time in Italy with him. And when an unexpected inheritance brings him back to where it all began, Ulysses knows better than to tempt fate and returns to the Tuscan hills. With beautiful prose, extraordinary tenderness, and bursts of humor and light, Still Life is a sweeping portrait of unforgettable individuals who come together to make a family, and a deeply drawn celebration of beauty and love in all its forms. Still Life by Sarah Winman. Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. 13-year-old Anna, an orphan, lives inside the formidable walls of Constantinople in a house of women who make their living embroidering the robes of priests. Restless, insatiably curious, Anna learns to read, and in this ancient city, famous for its libraries, she finds a book, the story of Aethon, who longs to be turned into a bird so that he can fly to a utopian paradise in the sky. This she reads to her ailing sister as the walls of the only place she has known are bombarded in the great siege of Constantinople. Outside the walls is Omer, a village boy, miles from home, conscripted with his beloved oxen into the invading army. His path and Anna's will cross. 500 years later, in a library in Idaho, octogenarian Zeno, who learned Greek as a prisoner of war, rehearses 5 children in a play adaptation of Aethon's story, preserved against all odds through centuries. Tucked among the library shelves is a bomb planted by a troubled, idealistic teenager, Seymour. This is another siege, and in a not-so-distant future, on the interstellar ship Argos, Constance is alone in a vault, copying on scraps of sacking the story of Aethon, told to her by her father. She has never set foot on our planet. Like Marie Laure and Werner in All the Light We Cannot See, Anna, Omer, Seymour, Zeno, and Constance are dreamers and outsiders who find resourcefulness and hope in the midst of gravest danger. Their lives are gloriously intertwined. Doerr's dazzling imagination transports us to worlds so dramatic and immersive that we forget for a time our own. Dedicated to the librarians then and now and in the years to come, Cloud Cuckoo Land is a beautifully and redemptive novel about stewardship of the book, of the earth, and of the human heart. Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. And that ends our little presentation about some of our newly released fiction, adult fiction here at the Hagaman Library. You can call the library at 203-468-3891. Excuse me, 203-468-3890 to put any of those books on hold or to see if they're in they're here. And we can pull them for you and make them available curbside, or you can come in and just browse our shelves and see what you would like for yourself. I hope this has been entertaining and fun to hear about some of our new fiction titles. And we hope you will come visit us soon. We have nice holidays displays out of holiday movies and all kinds of holiday books, both fiction and nonfiction. We have cookbooks and all kinds of great holiday things to help you celebrate the festive season we have coming up. And I hope that you have enjoyed this talk, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season and stay safe. And thank you so much for listening.